unmute us.
Yeah, you ready?
Okay, this is the Parks and Rec Advisory Board regular meeting for May the 6th. And we can call to order. And we can do a roll call for the viewers out there in the world.
So Nicole Schreiner,
Adriana Kulk.
Allie Welch,
Steve Goffin.
No citizens' comments. Okay, we'll do 4A, approval of minutes for April the 1st, and we'll skip March 18th.
I move to approve the minutes.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 5A, discuss and take appropriate action on the board's project list. I took the feedback from last time and switched the projects over to a different tool entirely because the spreadsheet was not going to work very long for all the things we wanted to track. There's a printout of it if you'd like to look at stuff. I added kind of there's two ways to look at this. You can do the Trello.com link on top, but this way is sorted by park. And things that are waiting are things that are kind of nebulously spec'd. The things that are high priority or something that we're really looking for, we should be researching. Things that are funded are actually going to have money and they have a spec and they should be getting moved to an in-progress state, hopefully sooner than later. There's a few completed items and those we can kind of, as things get done, kind of move off entirely, maybe on an annual basis. This link is public, so you could share it with pretty much anyone, but I don't think anyone can edit it, only whoever's. So I think you had mentioned, Joan, about putting it on a webpage for the park, so we could probably stick it with the master plan or something.
Yeah, somewhere in there.
If y'all like this. I think there were a few items that were called high priority, which we were waiting to see if they're going to go into the budget for 26 and 27, based on what you had talked about.
Yeah, and a lot of projects that are kind of one-time costs, those are going to be CIP projects or discretionary spending type projects that council can look at the end of the year. We've already gotten the Lions Park grant under CIP, the parking lots at Regional Park under CIP, and also the pool, shower, restroom building under CIP. So some of these other projects we would either look at maybe grants. 50-50 and above are really enticing. I don't think we'll be able to use any of them in our O&M budget, but we can always try and add.
And I know too, we want to phase in more grants in the future, so it's not overwhelming for your project management.
The other thing that I would also like to point out, based on this priority list, if there is a project, the Castroville Special Events Group that runs the Tour de Castroville is willing to donate monies towards a project. So if the board is on board with let's say one project, two projects, however many projects, and there's a reasonable cost associated with them, I would recommend that the board send a letter to Castroville Special Events stating that we would like to fund these projects with the monies that board donates. So this is where this other project priority list would come into play.
Do you have any kind of range?
We do.
How big of a project they would
I don't
be
have.
interested in?
I don't have a range yet because they were still going through some of their expenses, last minute expenses coming in from the tour. But I mean, right now, since they didn't give us a range, I would say the sky's the limit. So.
Well, what was it? The shade structures,
Mm-hmm.
and that was how much? Do you remember?
It was 5, I think, and that's still sitting there.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know and I forgot to go to Lions Park, if we want a bigger shade structure, and we also have funds in the special project fund.
Correct.
We could combine to make something more formidable than maybe 5x5, or sorry, it was 10x10.
Mhm.
Uh-huh.
You have things in the packet, right?
I guess I would want to know, do you want something bigger or do we want multiple? And is that something like we get
I don't know what that entry pad size is. We could probably check.
I want to say it's about a 10x10. I want to say maybe a little bit larger, maybe even 12x12.
When the sun is at an angle, you don't really get that great
Correct.
shade anyway.
Ideally, what we would
Smaller
do,
structure.
depending on the structure, we would just either center it on that pad or figure out what best placement depending on which shade the board would like to go with. The other option is we can, like Ali said, is do we want another shade? So if we want to do that, the costs have gone up, so the shades are not 5,000 anymore. They're kind of closer to 6,000-7,000. So I mean, I think if we go back to the Castroville Special Events and say, hey, we'd like another donation for another shade at Lions Park, or even if it's at Regional Park,
always
Totally.
shade?
always.
What was the amount of what's the word I'm looking for?
Unrestricted,
Yes, unrestricted funds in that.
we have to date $22,540.98. This,
500.
yes, $22,540.98. We have two restrictions and one outstanding charge. Restriction 1 is for Castroville Otters, $5,680. Restriction 2 is the Castroville Special Events donation for Lions, which is $5,000. And then the outstanding charge is $3,800.39 for the pool covers.
Is that waiting to come out of the 22?
Correct. It was
Okay.
paid out, but it doesn't reflect on that month.
I don't know. We kind of had some sort of a policy on the special project fund not to leave money in there too long.
Mhm.
Like you got to spend it and not
Mhm.
leave it in there for a decade. So I don't want that. And you could probably go back and find out how old some of that is.
Correct. Yes.
I wouldn't want it to sit there for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So, and do you have an idea what the heater cover would be at the pool? Or do we, I guess, do you want bigger shade? Is more shade? Is that question?
The cover for the heaters.
Yeah.
I think I spec about $5,000 to $10,000 for that.
And was the reel like 15 or 12?
I think it was more than that. I think it was closer to like 40.
Oh, I didn't.
I think so.
don't remember.
For that size reel? Or am I pulling a number just out of the blue?
I forget what the quote was on that when you got it
I can look it up right now.
last. So.
I feel like the shade structure would benefit a huge amount or big amount.
Lions Park in particular.
Yeah, especially over there, considering the
And we're gonna
lack of trees.
and we're gonna have this really nice playground.
Yeah.
and-
So shade over there, I think, is really, really important, especially to service that area.
Do we
Outside of the highway.
do we wait until like the playground is closer to being done, so we know size wise or what we're looking at, how big, where we would want shade?
Do
or
you
we
always
ask-
need a concrete pad for those shade structures?
Not necessarily. No.
Crushed granite?
You can do crushed granite. You could even put it on the grass if you wanted to in certain.
It would be nice.
Mm-hmm.
I would advocate sooner than later getting shade structures over in that area, even if it means having to modify it a little bit later as other things are added and improved to the area, just because without shade, there's a lot of families that I suspect
I just think about
like they're not going to go there and just
So,
get
but
toasty.
if I don't want to put something up that's going to have to be modified. I feel like I'm watching that happen on Highway 90 daily. They put down asphalt, they rip it up. Like, what a waste. I do not want people to see something that we've recommended have to be changed. So if we can spec out pretty confidently where it's going to go and not be messed with, I could be very supportive of that.
I think part of the thing is, and I have to double check because I don't know exactly what you're referring to, but I think a lot of the stuff that's getting put down and then pulled back up off the Highway 90 has a lot to do with the underground infrastructure and having to attend to that.
Well, that's not here nor
Yeah,
there.
but-
That's just,
but-
I'm just saying the
Yeah, all I'm saying is
optics of that, I've seen the school district do it too. The optics of that are not great.
but I don't think that's something that is. I speculate that because there aren't those kinds of complications there, that a shade structure wouldn't have to be like really torn up if there was any other modifications that were going on.
The other thing is wherever we put it, it stays there, and then we just ask Cashville Special Events to make another donation next year. We could do that too. I mean, the more the merrier. So
How much space to the north of the splash pad is used for soccer now? Did they?
not pretty much just. I haven't gone out there when they're actually practicing, but they pretty much went all the way up to the existing sod. So it's all sodded from the end of the splash pad all the way pretty much to the trail. It's all sodded. So I can, and I'll definitely get with that organization to see too. I mean, they're out there all the time. Where would you guys think a good place for a little shade structure would be? And hey, maybe they'll want to donate too and say, well,
Is there space between the splash pad potentially? And I don't remember how far off the playground escape is supposed to be.
mhm.
That's what I would want to see is kind of
Yes.
And you could link them, and
Mhm.
parents could sit there, and kids could run back and forth.
So yeah, thanks Nicole for giving me the side eye. But yeah, the real was 18,000. 18,000 is what we spec'd. And then the cover for the pool heaters, I spec'd 4,000 for that. And I'll dive a little bit deeper into the footprint of the playground and all of the maps that we got and the renderings and see where we can go, because we've got trees in that area as well. So it might be ideal to put it,
Yeah.
maybe we put it on the other side of the splash pad for now until the playground comes in, and then look at
Another-
that area.
So in the meantime, should we make a motion to request money for the shade structures or additional or
Well,
work
so
on this a little bit
the
more?
other, so the second
Have to
item,
get an accurate size to know how much it's going to be.
yeah, and the second item on this agenda specifically is talking about the Lions Park proposed shade structure.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know if we want to kind of open that item up as well, and then you can maybe give me some direction on that item, and then we can also look at what another shade structure where it could go close to the splash pad or even kind of off to the side, maybe between the splash pad and the restrooms. But yeah, until those trees become much more mature, they're really not giving off a whole lot of shade.
Yeah, that's going to take a while.
Can you give us, I know you have like several schematics of the area. Can you give us a pretty accurate look at like, and I don't know how close we are to measurements for the playscape and all that.
Mhm.
If you could give us some options of where you think.
Yeah, so let me I can try to pull up Cunningham Recreation's footprint real quick.
I was just trying to look through the project list in general. Like, what is low hanging fruit that we could get taken care of with the special project fund combination? Well, I guess you wouldn't want to use their donations for that kind of stuff. We could outline it, or because I feel like the cover for the heaters is something that's just been sitting there for years.
I know. I'm
And
just,
if that's $4,000, just and we've got 19 there, and then if we have enough donations for a shade.
All right. So this is the most recent rendering from Game Time. And let me see if I can move this around a little bit. Do markup.
See, there's trees right there.
So the thought and kind of what I would recommend is putting the current $5,000 shade that Castroville Special Events donated, putting a shade there to the right of or right in front of the splash pad as you walk in. Whether it's a single post, whether it's a 4-post, cantilever is totally up to the board. There's really no requirements on that. It's just up to you all. I'll put that in. This is obviously not to scale, so this might be end up coming in a little bit smaller than this. Again, I think that pad's a little bit bigger than 10 by 10, and with the budget, that's kind of where I was looking at, is a 10 by 10. Additionally, this picture doesn't show it, but we can always put another shade if we wanted to. If we wanted to match it, we can put one, that hangs over like a cantilever over the sides, kind of like this. So it has some shade on the pad itself. We have some space between the splash pad and the restrooms that we can put it just in the grass. But these swings off to the right, these all have shade right here.
Yeah.
Those swings have shade. You have a big shade right here on this playground set, right there. And then we also, I talked to Game Time about these little, they're called color factors, or they basically just kind of create colors on the ground. There's a couple of them that they could change into shades as well, small little shade structures. So we can definitely cover this playground with shade. Where do we want to put another shade structure if we wanted to is totally, up to you all. Because if you think about it, and looking down here more to the south, you've got those two trees. You could always put another shade, and maybe even like a little concrete pad, walk up like we have at the splash pad right there. Or alternatively, you could put it, somewhere right here, depending on how the walk up to the playground is. But I agree. I think having more shade is better than none, and that's what I would.
Do you want to wait for their extra donation to get a bigger shade instead of a 10 by 10 size? Because you could stick it off. Well, you could just put it like kind of right there, right, and have it hang off into the grass, even put a bench or something.
Is 10 by 10 big enough?
10 by 10 is about the size of your regular pop-up canopy. Some canopies are a little bit bigger too. They're 12 by 12 now, I think.
If you've got two families, though, it's going to get kind of tight, or kind of stroller.
You're probably looking at.
Okay, so we're talking like bench covered kind of.
Okay. You're with the 10 by 10, depending on which one. If you do the 4-post, or even if you do the single post, you're looking at probably putting comfortably one picnic table underneath it. So if you go with a bigger one, or you ask, see if they would donate to just increase the size, then you could go with something a little bit larger.
I guess I was just thinking like pavilion size that we have at Regional Park are really nice, and this is going to be so great for families to like birthday parties or whatever, and that would be a big.
Would they use existing picnic tables that they have there?
Yes, yeah, we would just move some of those wooden picnic tables underneath.
I'm kind of fine waiting to see because if they do a similar size donation, we could get 10,000 plus maybe if you need a little bit more from the special project fund. You just have to be patient for it. Maybe it might be a later summer purchase. Or something.
And again, yeah, I mean, we've got plenty of projects, so we're not looking for projects. We're not looking for things to do. We've got plenty of things to do. But it is one of those things that if we want to go with a bigger shade, I would recommend that
Like a
we
long
just.
rectangle.
Mhm.
That way
And-
a couple of people can perch under there.
Mhm.
What do y'all think about adding a pavilion to our list for Lions Park?
It's kind of there, but I guess
Let me see.
is it? Yeah,
I have
it's
I have
like this.
two wild
Never mind.
things.
That was easy.
Two wild things I kind of just want to throw out there, just to kick around. If the goal is, shade and something that's sustainable, instead of doing like the big kind of formal pavilions where you've got to have like your 10 by 10 or whatever it is, there have been shade structures. And Jonah, have you seen the ones like Northside uses them, Northeast uses them, where they're basically, and you can do it like a cantilever to where like off of a main structure, or you can do it independently. Basically, they're like little triangles,
Oh yeah,
Like a sail or no?
like a sail. It's kind of like
Yeah.
a sail shape.
Yeah,
right?
and you just
so-
need the posts.
Yeah. And so you can do something like that. And so that gives like flexibility. It's economically feasible. So I mean maybe considering something like that. And then also
And
Not-
having, would it be crushed granite underneath? Or it doesn't matter? Or
it depends on
You
what
could
folks would
probably
want to
put
do.
sails on top of the splash pad section.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean it's a really versatile kind of option that stands up well over the test of time. And at least based on my experience, the kind of sun abuse that we get in this area. And then the other thing, which is a little more, if we still had a garden club, might be relevant, but maybe there's other institutions that might be interested in it. The possibility of doing some lattice work and then kind of creating kind of like some vining things to where you do some lattice work. Maybe you've got like a little kind of garden action going along the way, so you can get some long-term growth of trees in there. But that's
I feel like
also
if there was a volunteer group who would want to do that and
Yeah.
maintain it.
sounds like a
on
great
top
scout
of-
project.
But
Except
you
they
have
don't
to-
maintain.
Yeah.
Except they don't maintain.
You have to
Yeah.
have them come back.
but it would be something to where if there was somebody that would be interested in it, it would be something that would be I think that would be interesting. But the sales are easily accessible, low cost, and
Well, you can kind of like frame maybe the splash pad with them and angle them to where it's blocking the southern exposure of light. Did you have any suggestions?
The only thing is cement versus ground. You're gonna have to cut more grass.
Yeah, we would just weed eat around the posts if they were going to be put in the grass.
Do you mind the maintenance of like a crushed granite pad?
We've got plenty of crushed granite.
Because it's kind of like weeds can pop up in it
Yeah, we've got
and it'll wash away.
yeah, well, we should be fine.
it would also be a fun project for youth sports groups that are using city facilities, that like maybe each team gets a little spot where they can have their monthly maintenance of whatever their thing is.
Yeah, I can research what a triangular shade, multiple posts, what that would look like.
So I hate waiting a few more months, but if y'all want to, we could do that and see how many more funds you can get.
I think we're still researching it anyways, so let's.
Yeah,
Come back
I
and
didn't
let us know.
really think of triangular shade, so I can look and see. In the meantime, I think I think his funds might be burning a hole in his pocket, so I think maybe we just still try to reach out to him and just let him know that we're looking at a larger shade structure in conjunction with the donation that they already made,
Mhm.
and maybe he'll give us a number that they might be willing to
And
cough up.
I think last year it was kind of a late summer donation. Actually, so it wasn't like half a year or something. Do y'all want to, for back to 5A, do y'all want to use this project list and consider using some funds from the special project fund to maybe do the heater cover for the pool? Or wait and see about shade and then get that funded?
So my 2 cents
It's
is,
kind of a lot of,
yeah, no,
because
my
they all work in the same funds.
so my 2 cents is, I like the format that you've got going on here. I also really appreciate and think that it will be valuable to have like a section of things that have been completed to like continually demonstrate like we're moving ahead with things and like important good things have been accomplished. So I think it'd be nice to see that. But yeah, I very much appreciate the format. I think it's going to be really helpful.
I agree.
Now, your question with the heat cover, I guess I would defer to Nicole and Jonah on how needed it is.
She said your name first.
Oh, I'll take it. I'll take it. All right. So based on my experience at our pool, the sheltering for those heaters, I mean, you probably put, $2,000-$3,000 to give it some adequate coverage, and it's probably going to save us a lot in the long run. Mostly because, and Jonah, I know that you have the numbers on this. I'm just kind of a regular observer of the situation, but over the years when we've been hit with the brutality of the summers, then the wildness of the winter freezes, and when they come in, that not having any protection from the elements for those heaters, which are, I mean, they're rough and ready, but they're also delicate in their own way. Having protection for them, I think, will go a long way to creating consistency in what people can expect the pool temperature to be, and the quality of the water to be. So, but
Have we finished out getting all the covers?
No, so we still have. So we've got 2/3 of the pool covered. I think the lanes.
Well, what at least we recommended last.
Yes.
That's, but
Mhm.
yeah.
So we've got the beach entry covers. We've got the bulk of the pool covers, or bulk of the pool covered. It's just the deep end that would not technically be covered, but a section of it's covered.
But everything is in that we ordered and recommended and all that kind of
Do
stuff.
you need more covers then? I didn't.
The
Forgot
deep
we were
end.
missing
I would hold off. Let's see how the beach entry covers work. To Nicole's point, I agree. Excuse me. The heater cover is a good option. Not just for the heaters that are there, but also for the pipe that's behind it.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Exposed pipe is never good, especially with the heat and the sun that they take. So taking all that into consideration, I would recommend that a heater cover or a cover for the heaters be considered as a good priority.
Is it more like a shed attached to the?
No, so it would be. I was thinking about connecting it to the rock building as it is, and kind of doing like a lean-to roof, single slope. The only issue with that is that we do have a water line that runs right in between both the pump house and that heater pad. So we need to make sure that we have access to that with equipment if equipment is needed. So I mean, we literally have a space as wide as this dais to scrape with the mini excavator. Whoever's idea that was, thank you.
They were doing the best they could at the time, I'm sure.
Yeah, so that's definitely going to be kind of a dig by hand situation. Nonetheless, it would be a standalone structure, same thing, single sloped, and then we would look at maybe kind of lowering the height of it just so that way it really covers those heaters and not something that's like 8 foot, 10 foot tall.
And there would be walls on.
I would leave it just with the roof for now, and then we could look at adding maybe side panels or even a panel in the back. But again, we've got once we start adding different panels, then we need to look at exhaust because of the heat that it's going to create. So,
and one of the things that, and I'm not sure like how it works out in the world of like mechanical things, but like Jonah was saying with the exhaust, and if you have the fundamental structure and you have those poles, then even when you come into your wild, winter storms or freezes, kind of in a nerdy way, like I'm inclined to treat it the way that you would, your plants, which is like, okay, we've got like big plastic, we've got some tarps, we're going to run them down the sides, we're going to give it some protection without restricting access or creating problems with heat entrapment during our many months of
one of
toasty weather.
And one of the issues that we had was the heaters were turned off prior to a winter storm, and that was kind of like a directive from the gas company, CPS, because they wanted to make sure that there was gas for everybody. And in doing so, the water stayed in those lines, and that's what created the heaters to break. So, we've looked at, okay, is there a drain plug? What do we need to do? Basically, they recommend just keeping the pump running, keeping that water running, and then if you do have to shut it off, there is an isolation valve that you can turn to drain the water from those heaters. So, lessons learned. But yeah.
Flooded a whole house with something similar. Okay, so you said that was like 4K.
Mm-hmm. And I can pull up what I spec'd in.
Do we need to have an exact like estimate to be able to
I would,
approve?
and I would say that if that's the route that we would like to go, let me bring it back to you all at the next meeting so I can look at and get material costs. I know Nicole won't be here at the next meeting, but that's okay. We've got her.
Well, it depends who's liaison.
That's true.
If she wants
to. But I will. Yeah, I'll show you all what I had. Let's see here if it'll pop up real quick.
Living times. You may as well. You know what's going on.
So this is what I had spec. Just something simple. This one doesn't. You can't really tell the slope, but there's a slope on it. Again, we would also look at materials that are appropriate for pool settings because chemicals will eat away at certain metals. So
they'll look nice with the rest of the building.
Mm-hmm. So just very simple, and this is kind of what I spec'd out as $4,000. But I can bring it back to you all at the next meeting so that way we have
Maybe
hard
we
numbers.
can get some other numbers for shade too, like
Okay.
if we were to get 10,000 or something, maybe not. It could be 8 or something.
It could be 12.
Like the sales option, and then just maybe a larger, something bigger than 10 by 10, because I feel like that's just barely like enough.
Mm-hmm. Wiggle room.
I feel like we need to know how much we're getting to be able to make a decision.
I know.
Well,
But just say
I'm
we
gonna
want to work on the shade, whether that be
and
any of those options.
I'll bring different options because some of the different websites and the different
And
suppliers, they have standard sizes, so we're going to be limited to that anyway. And we're not going to go. I know I said shoot for the moon, but we're not going to be like a $20,000 shade. But we can definitely. I think we could comfortably do a $10,000, $12,000 shade.
Yeah.
Um,
What kind of shapes can you get with that?
Mhm.
Where you can really stand under it and cool off. You could kind of connect a hallway or something to get to between splash pad and the playground. I know the trees are bigger in your version, or that corner, the southwest corner, south.
oh, so you're talking about maybe like a path or something.
Or just move the, well,
Like that,
I
something.
don't know if we get that much. I mean, potentially you can move a tree. We could see if any of those look terrible. Or move it a little bit further south or to the bottom of the map.
Yeah, we can play around with it. That's
Yeah.
not worried.
If
Because
y'all want to, you can go walk it and see
Mhm.
what
Yeah.
you think too.
Because ideally, I think the other thing that we'll need to figure out is where is the entrance? What is the entrance of this playground, which
Right.
I believe is right here. So, if we have the entrance to the playground here, where do we go from here? Do we connect it to this pad, or do we come down, make a curve, come down here and connect it to the crushed granite that's already there? Or do we do both to where, they're all kind of interconnected? Or do we come off of this part of the pad here?
Do you want to add more little like crushed granite trails connecting them?
So
Like, is
that's
that kind of your vision.
So that's another thing that we'll have to look at is the accessibility side, and if an accessibility specialist will
Is that someone
approve.
from the vendor would do that analysis?
Yes, we can look at the vendor, or we can go out and see if somebody, maybe GrantWorks may have worked with somebody before. We can look to see, because it's a 50-50 on whether they're going to say, yes, your crushed granite is accessible
Yeah.
or not. And a lot of it just comes down to maintenance and making sure that it's a hard surface for a wheelchair to roll onto.
And it does make a lot of sense, especially for, the sizability of the grant and it being like an accessible playground that we want to make sure that people can get to
Mm-hmm.
as many places as possible that are in that area. So,
She could do a concrete sidewalk to the entrance, right?
Correct,
To
yeah.
lead at the if needed.
yeah.
Any other discussion items for 5A or 5B? So it sounds like we're going to get specs for the heater covers and different shade options and figure out. I would love to get it at least ordered like shade this summer, or
Yeah, that way it can be installed in the wintertime. I think that's what we did with the one at the
we're
pool.
kind of a little bit ahead of the play, obviously maybe a lot ahead of the playground, so we can't figure out the exact perfect ultimate spot, but at least we can get something in there.
Do you have that in your update, like timeline for playground? Or
No, nothing yet. We're still waiting on the contract or the agreement from Texas Parks and Wildlife.
Okay.
They did suggest they made a comment that it was going to take a little bit longer just because of the red tape that they were going to have to go through with the forestry services. That's where the funds are coming from.
Okay.
So we don't suspect to see that agreement probably till October time.
I guess we could do a motion just to say that we like this current version of the project list, and I think it will be, hopefully it'll be a fluid document, things are going to be completed. So if there's anything else, we can just always bring it back for a quick,
Revision.
and then 5B would be get more information.
Yeah, I would say we can just table 5B, and then I'll come back with some more numbers on those. And were you looking for a motion on 5A?
I don't know if we need one to approve it, kind of give our,
I mean, this is all information we already had, right?
It's been updated. Like last June, we did a substantial update, and it was used several times for Jonah's planning. So I don't know, or we don't have to have it, I guess. Um,
I would recommend adopting it or accepting it, and then if we want to put it on the website, and then use this as our kind of go-to to also show Cashville special events. Hey, these
yeah,
are
I kind of wanted
this
to
is
send
our
it to them.
our
say,
projects that we're looking to
and
do.
to show you we've
Mhm.
been making progress on a bunch of stuff. So. We care.
So would this motion include acknowledging the projects that have been completed as well?
I'm open to that. I think it. I went over. I guess I could probably go back and see what all we completed last year because I just have a couple of things. I don't know. I guess we've just been. The grant was a big thing last year, but that's not really like. We've been doing stuff.
Yeah, and it's
So-
and the reason that I bring it up is because there's so much stuff that gets done and it takes so much work to get it done that sometimes it's like easy to like check it off the list and move on without actually acknowledging like, hey, this thing was on the list for like 2 years and now it's done.
Yeah, what was that?
I feel like that's everything all the time.
Well, even just getting like the Lions Park update through and stamped off, that was a big deal last year.
Yeah. So the Lions Park and
Can you put that one online?
yeah,
Mhm.
on
You can
the
put that PDF on the master plan page.
Okay, so can I make a motion?
Yes, please.
I move to approve the project list and current formatting with addition of the inclusion of the completed tasks.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Where's my work? All right, let's see, we've done 5A and 5B, so we'll move on to 6A, and I guess there are no representatives from the Friends group, unless you want.
No, we did. Yeah, I can touch on this. We did have a work session this past month. It was small. Kenneth Lagleader was there, myself, some city staff, and I think it was 3 other volunteers. We worked a lot on Priscilla and Helen were there as well. They were working on the butterfly garden, so they were pulling their weeds. I was there helping them at the start. Once everybody showed up, we ended up moving over to the hillside between the tennis basketball court area and the pool, and we put down some Bermuda grass seed and mulched that whole hillside. So if you see our great patchwork of trying to get some sod on there, that's what it is. It's
Which hillside?
between the pool and the
Oh.
tennis
See, the
basketball
mulch
court.
is nice. Yeah, I meant to
So
comment on that.
we mulched. So we put down seed first, and then we mulched it, and it seems to be taking really well. And really, what we were just trying to do is just reestablish that grass in that area, and then cut down on the dirt once people start
Yes.
parking in there, because it turns into a dust bowl. So that was the work session. There's going to be a FCRP meeting, I believe, on the 16th or 17th.
17th of Sunday.
17th on Sunday. So if anybody would like to attend, you're more than welcome. And I also believe that Cassidy Kemp, the chairwoman for the Friends, had a baby this past week. So congratulations to her. That's it.
All right, so 6B is more for you.
Great. So we'll bring it up here. And again, there are going to be some minor changes to this report since it was done last week. Yeah, something like that. Okay. April 2026 report, monthly report. Construction still underway. Overall project is 88% complete. That was jumped up to 89% complete this morning when I looked. The project has been moving along well and is still projected to be substantially complete on May 15, 2026. Some of the upcoming tasks include final site grading, sidewalk and curb construction, installation of fencing and handrails, doors, etc. So this is the bullet point that has changed. They sent out an updated schedule this past week, and their substantial completion date moved from May 15th to May 28th, with owner move-in of June 15th. I'm giving them a little bit of pushback on it. When I talked to them at the OAC meeting, they said because of the rain that we had a couple of weeks ago, which was like 2 days of rain, it pushed everything back 2 weeks. So I did talk to Randall Rogers, who was out there today. He was putting in some base for the parking lot areas. One thing that we will most likely see here within the next week or even following week is they're going to rip out a section of the road at that entrance because that's within their scope. So you'll most likely see some of that fencing come down. Frontier is supposed to be out there Friday, Saturday to put in some doors on the front end of the building just to kind of start locking it in. Just because once we move those fencings, I'm gonna have them pick them up. There's no point in us if the building is locked in. So we should see doors up on Friday, Saturday. Fencing would come in the following week, I believe. And then the site grading is still underway. One of the big pushes is that fencing, I didn't want them to use that as a reason to demobilize or move, or wait on this or wait on that. So that's kind of one of those things where in talking to Randall, he was like, yeah, if we can get this fencing out of the way, I can just knock it all out at once. And I said, why don't we move the fencing then?
Yeah.
Well, we need doors. So that's where we're at on that. I'm still going to push back on them and see if we can't meet that, kind of bring that owner move in substantial completion date a little bit closer. But I mean, May 15th is next week and there's still a lot to be done. In addition to that, what else was I going to talk about? I think that was it. Community center policy. I'll review this here at the bottom part of my report. We'll kind of review it a little bit more in depth. After the board looked at it, y'all didn't have any recommendations. I sent it to a couple of staff members. They brought up some recommendations, and then I have a little bit of recommendations as well. So I kind of want to see what y'all thoughts are before I send it over to council. Pool shower building, LPA, Frontier, and city staff are still working through the updated floor plan. Overall, the floor plan and estimated costs provided come in within budget. I will show you those renderings and floor plan and then see if you all have any comments on that. BMA agreement. I've emailed the attorney for BMA to discuss the contract and plan to meet with BMA at the June meeting. There were 3 quotes that we got ranging from $6,700 to almost $16,000. There's a big gap in those. And then the other one I think was around $12,000. So I need to reach out to the individual who gave the $6,000 quote and see what exactly are they doing, just because it's a little bit on the cheaper end. Council approved $15,000 to install gates, signage, and trail material as needed. So, if we do get it for the $7,000, that'll leave us about $8,000 to do the other improvements in that area. Splash pad repairs are still underway and projected to be done before summer. I kept this very simple. Advanced Aquatics was out today. They did finish the main line or water line repair. So we're going to let that glue cement sit overnight, and we're going to pressurize the lines tomorrow, see how everything is working, and then go from there. I already talked to MWF Cement, and they're ready to go whenever we're ready to go to backfill that hole. No update on September Square. The Park Special Project Fund, I kind of already touched on that. We have a $37,000 balance, but again, we do have a couple of restrictions in that balance. So we've got an auditors restriction, $5,680. Castroville Special Events donation for Lions Park, $5,000. And then the outstanding charge for the pool covers, $3,800.39. Unrestricted leaves us $22,540.98. There was a big jump from the last time that we saw it. I think it was about a $15,000 increase, and that was for the parkland dedication in lieu of that we got. Medina Valley.
So the otter section, does that need to be used on something?
We'd have to look at and see what we can use it on, but I mean, really, they had another sponsorship round this season, so that amount, that restricted amount, is going to increase as well. I would assume it has to. It can be spent on anything pool related. I don't know.
Need a heater cover?
Yeah, I don't know if a heater cover would be considered, or if
I
it's kind of.
I would say not for otters because they don't have anything to do with the heat.
And that's what I would say as well.
But the
My
shade.
thing, my
But the
thing,
shade.
my thing would be we could look at maybe new lane lines, another shade structure, something like that. That the
Chairs
otters.
or other accessories.
Well, otters and chairs and accessories like that, really the pool budget can handle. So it'd be some type of like capital improvement that the otters would like to see, and then we slap a, this is brought to you by Cashville Otters and sponsors or something like that. So
Should talk to the head coach.
I was
about
just
that.
gonna say you should ask the new head coach. I hear he's great.
I heard he was all right.
well, I learned from my previous coach, so that was my previous coach. Medina Valley baseball
everyone's in the
contract. At the city council meeting on April 14th, there was much discussion about the baseball fields and the use of non-aeronautical space. MVYBA still has an active contract, which is set to expire in September of 2027. So I just brought that up because before their contract ends or expires, it's going to come back. And there were some recommended language changes in there that they brought up about making it more of a community use, community space versus a exclusive contract. So I really don't know what types of changes that would bring, but because they do a lot of the operation and maintenance of those fields, we want to make sure that they're protected, their assets are protected as well, their investments are protected. So I understand why originally they wanted to make it into a exclusive contract, but I can also see why the FAA is saying, well, it's not community, when in reality it is community use, community space. So
Do we have any language like that in any of our other contracts?
not necessarily, but there's
Right.
always a first for everything. So I mean, and considering that the FAA is just saying that, and I haven't read the FAA letter, I've kind of skimmed over some of the comments. I think really they're just saying that they want to make sure that it's a community use, community space area, which is not, that won't be difficult to add in there.
Yeah.
We're just going to have to kind of tread lightly on that and see what comes of it.
And I think having read through some of the things recently that are related to it, I think there is in general kind of maybe a misunderstanding of like how that land space is like allocated, and basically comes down to it's like a 1949 contract to where and it was codified in like 1950 to where it was like, oh yeah, so city of Castroville can use this. We're going to use it federally as an airport, but we're deeding it to you with these restrictions. And these restrictions and requirements include a certain amount of aviation use, but they also kind of in that requirement allowed for like the farm that's working there and the baseball field and the water use for that. And I think it's just been like a really long time to where people didn't understand what was happening at the baseball fields, and kind of that it was an absolutely fabulous and I think really important thing that and valuable thing. They kind of got like the leading run time and being able to use that space without a lot of upstart costs to it, and I'm all for that. That being said, now that there's kind of like an evaluation, it seems that there's a different conversation that's happening about, well, we had something that was really great and now it's going away a little bit, and that's really hard to swallow. And so I think there's a lot of conversation that's going on about, well, what can we do in the interim to maintain the space while also trying to like plan out long term without a disruption to the program to the kids. And that just there's
I guess what I never understood in the whole conversation is why we have to send letters back and forth and why we can't all sit down and talk about it. And because there are other airports in the area even that have good agreements with parks in their area. I had another point and I lost it.
It's okay. I'll
Go ahead.
and it'll come back to you.
Yes.
But also, I think one of the things that has come up during some recent conversations that I've had with some pushback about baseball is some of it has involved like, oh, well, there are locked gates, so it's supposed to be community accessible, but like clearly it's not. Kind of to the point that Jonah was talking about.
So that would be like saying the Castroville Park has a locked gate, so nobody can use it when the gate is locked.
Kind of like, oh, well, soccer is using the fields, and so everybody else is just out of luck, right? And I think and I don't know the details about it, but just listening, it sounds like there is, kind of to Jonah's point, that in the interest of trying to make sure that traffic flows in a particular way and like not ruining like the maintenance that baseball puts into those fields, that there have been some areas that have been closed off. And whether it's factual or just perceived, an acknowledgement of like, oh, well, when you put a locked gate up and it's supposed to be a community space, basically you're saying that this is all youth baseball, and that's not what it's supposed to be.
But
so I think
you're not understanding what I'm also saying.
But-
that would be the exact same as the open park. Does
Mhm.
anyone walk in here and say we can't use the park?
oh yeah, no, and that's no, we're actually in agreement on this totally.
Okay.
And it goes back to the point of, it seems like the most rational thing to do is actually get people in the same room
Mm-hmm.
to say, hey, this is what's going on. If there are things that we're doing that aren't helpful to like kind of community involvement, then let's go ahead and fix them. But we kind of should probably get over the, I have speculations that you're doing this for your own ends kind of thing. But yeah, I think 100% getting people in the room so that we can actually get like a meaningful agreement is, yeah, that's the reasonable thing to do. And to the extent that we could facilitate that, I think would be beneficial.
And so you have how long until that expires?
That we have over a year, September of 2027. So I would think at the beginning of next year we start sitting down and talking about that time. So then that way, once September 2027 hits, there's already a new agreement, already finalized, ready to go. Council approves it and moves on for another 3 years.
So in other words, the baseball field will probably stay.
Seems like that's kind of the consensus right now.
Until we have
Yeah,
until we have a better
there
solution, yeah.
there doesn't seem any upside to shutting it down.
Yeah.
Right? We just need to, yes.
The airports are not actually listed on the agenda. There might be kind of going on this one. So,
Sorry.
Yeah, they're not
noting that like, the airport is not actually listed
correct.
as an item that might be discussed or acted.
Yeah, and I don't think they're going to act upon anything here. I think it's just
No. It's
an
a
update.
discussion about what happened at the meeting. So I feel like we have the right to discuss what happened at the meeting
it should be good.
because it hasn't come to this parks board and it's actually a discussion about a park that hasn't come to the parks board, which is a little lost on that.
I understand that this idea that usually you try to put in discussion to items that are on the agenda. You can vote whatever on the agenda that you want.
Yeah, so we'll go down that road. We'll reach out to the association probably at the beginning of the year and see what recommended changes go from there. Programs and events, April events, Easter weekend tour to Castroville, monthly work session at Regional Park, upcoming events, pool opened weekends in May, show your ride on the 16th of May, and then a community center substantial completion was originally 5/15, but now got pushed back. So we'll see where that puts us. Reservation report for April, volleyball court, 2 rentals, amphitheater, 2 rentals, area rentals, 10, pavilion rentals, 13, table rentals, 54, RV park bookings, 57, and tent camping, 10. Work orders, 110 for the parks and recreation side and 17 for the facility side. So here is the community center policy. Have y'all have already seen this? So I'll kind of just go over it real quickly. A couple of the recommended changes were some formatting, just kind of where this hang is at. I was trying to shorten up where some of these pages go, so I'm going to zoom out just a little bit. Just so that way, instead of having like 3 or 4 pages for one section, trying to limit how many pages we have. So cutting down, and then also, again, back to formatting, we have like one paragraph on page 3. So trying to shorten up and get it to where maybe they're like a front and back page is kind of the thought behind this. That way we don't have just a random accessibility statement at the end of this portion here. So facility capacity, 173 persons is going to be our capacity. And then I recommend removing exterior restrooms, additional restroom facilities. Since this is specifically to the community center and that rentable space, there's just 3 interior restrooms that they can use. And then same thing here, adjusting this indent so that way, again, just the flow and format all matches. Page break, again, we've got required documentation, 1 sentence, and then we've got this stuff. So if somebody's looking at it, it kind of just throws off the flow.
I know if you type something up in Word and then convert it to a PDF, sometimes the formatting is
It does.
So I don't know if you have to edit this specifically in a PDF.
I would have to look and see.
Yeah.
I'll reach out to Devin since he, I think, has the original document. So I'll kind of get with him and see what we can do.
How much does it cost for a rent a day?
Or
So
are you
we've-
doing by hour?
Yes, both. There's both rental rates right here. So it depends on the day. We've got $75 an hour to $100 an hour. Sunday through Thursday, $100 an hour to $125. Friday and Saturday an hour. Then you have the daily rates as well. And then you have a nonprofit option for that week. Security deposit is $200. Rental with alcohol is $300 for the security deposit. This one, rectangular, I'm going to add round as well just because we'll have both options. We'll have a select amount of rectangular, but I think other community centers that I've been to have both round and rectangular. Same thing, rate changes by itself on this one, so trying to adjust the formatting so that way it's all, on one or 2 pages. Okay, so decorations is one of the big ones here. Some of the feedback that I got on the decorations was it was pretty strict. Basically, confetti, glitter, rice seeds, or flower petals are not permitted. Balloons, sparklers, fireworks, or pyrotechnic devices are not permitted. Candles, open flames, incense, or smoke-producing devices are not permitted. And then here on the bottom it says all decorations must be freestanding and removed at the conclusion of the event. So that might be a little difficult.
Balloons?
That's
yeah, like
You can have freestanding balloons.
well, that's
Like,
what, that's
I
kind
know
of
you don't want people sticking stuff on the wall or anything.
correct.
but-
So this is the original, decorations
Uh-huh.
here. I put on the bottom, and if y'all want to read it, or y'all may have already. But basically, decorations to protect the facility and ensure safety, the following rules apply. Decorations may not damage or deface any part of the property. Nails, screws, staples, tacks, glue, or other permanent fasteners are prohibited. Only approved temporary fastening materials such as blue painter's tape or removable adhesive strips like command strips may be used in designated areas with prior approval. Decorations may not be attached to the wall, ceiling, windows, doors, floors, structural beams, movable partitions, or furnishings unless expressly authorized. Decorations may not obstruct exits. All decorations must be freestanding or installed only in the approved locations. The following items are prohibited. Basically the same thing that I had already said. But candles are allowed that are battery operated. And then the balloon policy is a change from the original. Air-filled balloons are permitted. Helium balloons are permitted only when securely anchored with weights. Confetti-filled balloons and balloon releases are prohibited. All decorations, materials, and equipment must be removed immediately following the event. Renters are responsible for any damage or excessive cleanup resulting from decorations. So that would be my recommended change.
About no animals, is that?
It is in there that says no animals unless they're service animals.
like no goldfish as your centerpiece. Good, friend's wedding. Like,
release of birds or something.
Yeah.
Just,
Release some mice.
But yeah, that was one item there, and I can shorten it up, but that was
I like that. I like that better.
yeah. I'll shorten it up so it kind of fills the same space that's already there, just because this is a 12-page document, and I don't really want to lengthen it up anymore.
I'm sure someone will come up with something that we have to add to it.
Alcohol and security. This was another one. So I believe Somerset has a community center. They allow BYOB. And I was going to look into, I just got that feedback the other day and it didn't make it into this packet. But what are your thoughts? I mean, I've not gone to a community center or even like I know the Legion has rentals. I don't know if Mr. Dolphin, if they allow alcohol or if it's no alcohol.
Legion
Alcohol.
dry.
Is it? Okay. So,
Where y'all are just saying two different things. He's saying they allow it. You're saying it's dry.
When, well, the reason that I'm under the impression that it's dry is because when I was working at All Local, which is right next door, the American Legion, there was a group of folks that came in, and there was like 40 of them, and they were really bummed out there was no alcohol that they could consume while they were there. So they came over to All Local, and then they.
But I think if you have a party, you can, like, graduation parties are there. With
BYOB. We don't sell them.
So that's kind of one of the things is if somebody rents it. So let's say we rent it for a birthday party or somebody rents it for a graduation party. Currently it reads that you need to have somebody like a caterer or vendor
to serve it.
provide that alcohol. So that's an additional cost.
Is it-
licensed?
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
isn't there a way to do, maybe you have this in here and I'm not seeing it. Isn't there a way to do, have your own alcohol, but you have to have security, or you have to have,
So that's
security fit in?
So that's the other
somewhere?
thing. So when alcohol is present, security is
Yes.
going to need to be present.
Okay, so either way.
Correct. Now I would recommend, and I can reach out to Devin and see what maybe, because they have a community center as well up there. But when talking to some staff, Somerset has one that allows BYOB, and basically BYOB, you can bring your own alcohol and beverages. You just can't sell them, and
Yeah.
you can't take them outside once you're done with the event. So no open containers can leave that facility. So it's two ways in that, if somebody is going to have a graduation party, do I really want to add the expense of having a caterer or vendor specifically for alcohol?
Right.
It can be expensive because then am I just paying for that caterer vendor, or am I also in charge of the security? I'd rather just be in charge of paying the security for my event if I'm going to have alcohol there. So,
And I'm guessing the vendor would have to have an alcohol
license.
handler
Mhm.
kind of license to where whoever is serving it has done their
Mhm.
$50 training,
Mhm.
6 hours. Okay.
Exactly. So I would like to see if I can change this and email you all something, and maybe y'all guys can send it back. But basically, just kind of not lighten it, but allow BYOB with certain restrictions. It can't be sold. It can't be taken off the property unless it's still closed or sealed. No open containers outside of the building, and whatever. And I'll look at different cities or different organizations because, like I said, American Legion, there's a VFW in Lacoste, the hall in Lacoste. I don't know what the hall over here at St. Louis has, but we can see.
I think also too, one of the things, because this is at the community center, to make it absolutely explicit, despite whatever BYOB or whatever thing is going on, is that regardless, under no circumstances could any glass come into the pool area.
That's correct. Yes.
And
We would limit that as well because that's a park rule, which is also a city ordinance. So there's no glass allowed in the park. Same thing with no alcohol. So we would have to make a revised ordinance to where, depending on if this policy does move forward, we make a revision to that ordinance to where alcohol is allowed specifically at this
Does the
facility.
FCRP have an opinion about alcohol?
I for some reason did not send this to them. So I'm going to send it to them and hopefully put it on their May meeting.
Kinda their building.
Mhm.
Or at least give them preference or,
Have an opinion, allow them to.
yeah,
Prerogative.
yes. Difference. I guess I'd hate for it to be BYOB and then something is messed up after the first instance of it.
For sure.
But you have to have security there.
Security, and there's a breakdown here. So you got one officer to 100 guests, 101 to 150, 2 officers, and then 151 to 173 guests, 3 officers.
That seems like a lot. Oh, I think a lot.
Really?
Compared to stuff I've seen around here.
Okay.
I would think you'd have at least 2 officers from 100.
That would mean,
To-
so you can fit 173 guests in there. That would mean you need 3 officers to have a.
Alcohol at the party.
That seems like a lot to me. But.
I was just gonna, so, the last time during SEC, 100 guests, is that irrelevant because of the capacity?
Correct.
Otherwise,
But in some cases, or I'm sorry to interrupt. Go ahead, finish.
I was just gonna say, you should make sure that between 170 and 200 is the amount.
I
Yes.
guess I was just thinking, I don't know if somewhere we want to have something that allows us to go outside of these parameters if it's approved. Like if somewhere one were to want to have a party, or the city were even to want to have a party that included the building and the pool, that would allow
No
more
alcohol.
people, right?
It would allow more people, but I would restrict alcohol use on the pool. So the alcohol would be only at the community center and the back patio. Anything outside of that would be still no alcohol and no glass. But
Or not any at all. Because if you're drinking in the building and walk outside.
That's
it's
true.
all in.
Mhm.
No bueno. Is you have these things about determined by the city, or does that mean you?
yeah, staff
Okay.
would determine, and it would
I don't
really
know if
kind of
you
be
can
like
make
a
that explicit that it's staff and not, you don't have to go to the board or
correct.
council.
So just, I want to go back to what we were just talking about. So we allow alcohol at 4th of July events next to a river. And we don't assume that people are going to walk into the river and drown. Like sometimes people can be responsible. Like we could have a really nice event that could include the pool space and the building and alcohol, and everybody not be like Animal House.
Correct.
It could happen.
It could, yeah.
So I feel like we don't have to say no to everything.
And I think based on you're going to have 3 security officers there. You'll have lifeguard staff there as well. You'll have about 3 of those. So, I mean, in that sense, you can. But again, it would come down to, what this policy, which I'll outline in this policy.
Do you have I was trying to look at the guiding principles or this front section. It's just like use common sense. I don't know. Hopefully that's,
Yeah.
Well, no,
it's said in our policy.
and also kind of on a personal thing, like if you want to have a party at a community center that involves the use of the pool, and you're
Not use of the pool, like standing around the pool, not being in the pool. Like a party that's
you are at the pool, you are subject to fall in the pool, you are subject to spill things on the pool deck. If you want to use that community facility and your deal breaker is that you can't drink, then that's okay. Maybe this isn't the right facility for you. Because the probability, or even just the possibility, and it doesn't even have to be someone who's like getting wild or whatever, but there's a long historical reason that alcohol is explicitly like kept away from
there
bodies
are
of
tons of
waters.
country clubs, all kinds of places.
And those
that
are
have it
private
okay.
entities, and we're not.
Okay, well,
Like-
we can have a discussion and we'll
Yeah.
vote on it.
So my 2 cents is this is a community project, and this is a community facility, this is a community service, and we're not running a business. And so it's
My
okay.
perspective is
It's
that
okay to
people,
say
it's
no.
okay to celebrate things. It's okay to have events in this town.
Sure.
And I don't think we need to say no to everybody
Mhm.
or to everything.
Next section is vendors and catering. No changes there. Fire safety rules. I think that was the majority of my recommendations. Was the last part is going to be the map. Adjusting the map to where it's a little bit more streamlined. So we have a lot of different colors here. I think I recommended 4 colors here. Pool, office, and restrooms are going to be blue. So you got the pool and the restrooms on this side are blue. Public restrooms stay the same. Catering, kitchen, multi-purpose room, and then the restrooms that they use would all be the same color, including this storage room. And then
Do you want to
conference.
highlight the back deck too?
Yes. And then conference room, park administration would be one color. So pool, office, restrooms are blue. Admin wing is red. Public restrooms are yellow. And then the community center, multi-purpose room, patio, kitchen, restrooms, and storage would be green. Just so that way they know where their space that they're renting. That was it for that item. And then we've got the pool, restroom, and shower building. So here's the first rendering of that building.
Neat.
So we've got the 2 outdoor showers, and then we've got 6 doors. 3 of them are just shower spaces, and then the other 3, 2 of them are going to be our toilets, and then the one in the middle is going to be that family restroom. And then here's that overhead floor plan. Again, 2 toilet rooms on the right, the larger family restroom, shower, sink, toilet, and then 3 shower spaces on the left, and then the 2 outdoor showers. And then I have the specific drawings for it, so if we want to kind of zoom in on some of these items here.
Will you have space in one of the restrooms for like storage, you think?
We might. I mean, we also have the pump house. We'll have that shed that's going to move, so we'll have storage space in other areas.
Yeah.
So we've got the ADA bathroom here, sink and paper towel dispenser. We've got the toilet, paper towel dispenser, changing pad for the little ones.
Can you install hooks everywhere?
Yes, hooks will be installed. Yes. We've got the shower and the sink. Again, these are just for the ADA restrooms. And then here's another visual: shower on the left, toilet on the right. And then shower elevation here. You just got a simple shower room. So what they would also like to recommend is just moving that tile all the way, just tiling the whole restroom instead of having tiled the first half, nothing on the back. This also does not depict a bench or seating area with hooks, so we'll make that is also something that we will rise and look into. So simple shower, grab bar, another looking straight at it. Toilet restroom from the side. You got the sink, toilet, looking at it from the north. And again, here's some more elevations or floor plans, I guess. But there's plenty of space in here to add a bench and some hooks between the shower and the door.
Are those solid floors?
They look to be wooden. I have to look at the. I'll look to see exactly
Are
what they.
slanted where there's air that can go in
It-
and out?
The way that these look, yes, but I'll have to look and see exactly. I'll look to see what they spec for the final product.
And then we had mentioned doing some sort of overhang on top of the door.
Yes, so that's something that we
Or
can
drop
definitely add
a little
into.
more.
Because of the budget, I don't think it's going to be feasible, but yes, we can definitely add some type of like little overhang over the doors at a later time. The other concern that we've had that Councilman Lee, or ex-Councilman Lee, he's still technically Councilman Lee, brought up was hot water. So we're also looking at maybe adding a tankless water heater on the back of the facility, so that way we can have that hot water supplied to these different fixtures. I just got this yesterday, so I'll send that out to everybody so y'all can review it and let me know if there's any
I thought this was going to take longer to construct this, but
questions or concerns.
it's really amazing and appreciative that it's going to be able to
Pretty quick
get
turnaround.
installed here.
So I did email them earlier today, Frontera and LPA, just to make sure that the fixtures are going to match what we have in the community center. So
And
That
I
way
guess
it
you're gonna
matches.
pick all the same tile that's already in the,
That's what we're going to try to shoot for. If not, we're going to try to get something similar in color, maybe a larger, just to limit and downsize on the amount of grout lines that we have.
I didn't know, does it make sense to use like the all enclosed, this changes the spec probably a lot, all enclosed like fiberglass inserts where there's no seams anywhere?
I
on
think
that line?
we
Like,
did
on the edges?
we did look at that, but I think it comes down to the longevity of fiberglass. If you get a chip in it or something, then you have a vulnerability for water to get in. So that's all I have. Like I said, I got these plans yesterday, so I'll definitely email those out to you tomorrow morning. That way, y'all guys can look at them and review. And you have any questions, just let me know. Frontera and LPA they're really excited to get this thing going
Yeah,
sooner rather than later. So yeah, if you can let me know if there's anything that y'all would like to see removed, added, I'll definitely send it back to them.
do you think Helen or anybody else on the Friends would be interested?
I'm
Or
pretty
is it-
sure they would be interested. The only thing is I mean, with the tight turnaround and trying to get this built sooner rather than later,
Like it,
we want
just
to.
to know if,
I think we've got enough feedback up here.
that's done with 6B, we can do, that's the end of the meeting. So June 3rd is our next meeting, and I want to thank Mr. Mers and Nicole for their help on the board. I guess maybe it's a couple of years now. Yeah,
Couple years, yeah.
3 years.
Time flies.
I have inquired, like, invited a couple people to join the board, so that's kind of pending. So if there's, we have 3 spaces now, I guess.
Well,
2 alternates and
We
1.
have until May,
Yeah.
middle of May, right?
I've got someone who's very interested,
Okay.
but their schedule won't open up until late June. So, but they know what they're doing. They're invested.
I think the other thing too, based on the conversation that was had with council with the baseball association, and we're not bringing it up for action or anything here.
You're allowed to talk about it. They can't argue.
I talked to Bob Lee for like
Um,
4 hours the other day. It seeped in. I apologize.
What I would recommend is maybe we reach out to Soccer Association, Cashville United, or even the Baseball Association about if any of them wants to maybe even be an alternate, just so that way they get the agendas, they can kind of see, they can get my reports, and they can have a say in what goes on in our parks and recreation.
Well, I just don't want to get too slim where like we've got stuff to do, but we miss a quorum 1 month.
Mhm.
That's very tedious.
So.
Okay, well, were there any other future agenda items besides the park rules and Lions Park projects? Okay. And then is there a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
All in favor? Or there's a second?
I'll second it.
And all in favor?
Aye.
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 Did you get the time?